They were just unbelievable. Unbelievable last time round here, 15 laps. And in the wet, I thought Larry Perkins was just the most sensational thing. And Brad Jones, I mean, it's a different race today because conditions here are dry.
That's true, it is, Daryl. And yesterday we, you know, I thought that Larry was on intermediates. He was going so quickly towards the end of that race, but as it turns out, they were all on wets. And great drive, and let's see what he can do today. All
right, well, let's have a look at the grid because it'll line up the way they finished. Johnny Bower winning the race yesterday. Larry Perkins just behind him by a wheel length, and then Glenn Seaton is next, and Dick Johnson sits in behind Perkins. Wayne Gardner went okay in the rain yesterday. He really did look very good. Alan Jones is starting from way back because he did have an accident with Dickie Johnson. That'll be interesting. Craig Lowndes is sitting back there on row 4. A good performance in the rain from him. Jimmy Richards, who likes to drive in the wet, so he'll relish even the drier conditions today. He didn't go as well as we thought yesterday in the rain. Mark Scapes a long way back. Peter Brock, I've never seen that far back on the grid.
Well, Brock was actually on intermediates yesterday, unfortunately, and they've got him back on slicks today, so I think we can look forward to Peter charging through this field. He's all fired up and looking for a good result.
Here's the two Winfield cars. Mark Scaife had just the most remarkable skid off the circuit yesterday. Went down the escape road, totally sideways and hit nothing. It was incredible.
They actually were struggling on their wets yesterday. The Yokohama wets probably just aren't quite up to the job here this weekend, and they were fast for the first couple laps, and then they tended to go off. So, you know, good performance today. They're not too far back to be right in amongst the action, and I think we'll see plenty from Scaife and Richards.
I've got no doubt we'll see some big charging action coming through from the rear of the grid because Johnny Bowe, of course, he's in the box seat. Larry Perkins worked him over yesterday like it was just set a street fight here yesterday, and Perkins put the car in just angles I haven't seen for so long, and he just did it lap after lap after lap. So that in itself is going to be a different story today on the dry circuit. But, I mean, it's a race everybody loves to win, and the Tourers have never let us down here.
And, you know, John Bowe is probably the only guy starting from the position where he actually qualified in, so there'll be plenty of action today.
All set for a start, green flag. Watch for AJ. He would like to do well in front of the Grand Prix circus, of course, that he was part of for so long, and they've been giving him plenty of tickle up in the pits too. Red lights starting any time. Johnny Bowe got away well yesterday. Perkins gets the pound out. Oh, leaves plenty of rubber too. Side by side into the first corner. And Glenn Seaton's in there too. Have a listen to the V8s. They sound sensational here. Johnny Bowe, then Perkins. Dickie Johnson's up there. AJ's coming through pretty hard.
One of the Winfield cars skipping across the curbs there. There's plenty of action. Larry's blocking a little bit here. They're searching the cars around, trying to get some heat into the tyres, and of course now's the best time to make up a couple of places.
Well, the dogfight on behind is letting Johnny Bowe get a little bit of a lead here. He's just opened up a slight gap. Look at Brock coming through and tangled down the back. That's one of the Winfield cars. Not sure from here who it is.
No, actually that's the Lansvale car.
It is too.
And it held Brock up a fair bit then, which you'd be very disappointed with that.
Car 3 it was, that's who it was. Very similar colour to the Winfield cars. Okay, they stream on to the fastest part of the circuit now. Johnny Bowe is doing okay, but Larry Perkins has got Dick Johnson all over his rear bumper. Alan Jones in behind Gardner. Seaton is still in there and holding touch. Remember, this is a 10-lap screamer.
The interesting thing we've got going here, Daryl, is 3 Falcons in the first 4 places, and they're very aggressive. That's a great move by Dick down the inside of Larry there.
That was a popular move yesterday on that very spot. Run down the circuit, get on the inside, and sneak up on the inside of that corner.
Brock, Randy's gone.
Brock has come around. Brock has had the worst weekend he's ever had.
Yeah, that'll be, I mean, he's right out of the race now and very disappointed. The whole Mobile team will be very upset. HRT are running 3 cars this weekend, and you know, it's a very difficult task, Darryl.
Well, we mentioned yesterday that the Johnson Falcons have really found some extra pace of late, and they're showing it here around the streets of Adelaide. Johnny Bowe really quick. Dickie Johnson now in second. Larry Perkins is there, and he's really hounding them up because Dickie Johnson's got past him. Glenn Seaton would like to get in touch and needs to do something pretty quickly.
I'm a little unsure what tyres are on today, Darryl. They actually had tyres marked to run on yesterday, dry tyres, which they actually set their qualifying times on. Oh, look at Dick Johnson having a go there. And if they're on those particular tyres, I know that John Bowe went for a slightly softer compound, so that explains a little bit while he's skipping away from the other Ford.
What about the rubber? Dickie Johnson left there, came out and just kept the boot into it and drove out. It's Bow, Johnson, Perkins, Seaton and Gardner. Gardner doing well. He drove well in the rain yesterday, and he's doing a really good job in the dry here today. Now it's getting interesting. Perkins gets in behind Dickie Johnson. Glenn Seaton staying in touch now. He starts to climb all over the back of Perkins.
The Fords are definitely strong here, Darryl. Dick, it's interesting to note that, you know, he's very busy because he's got his blinker on. He's not signalling a pass there, but he's sliding around and heating up his rear tyres just that little bit too much. There's Larry having another lunge at him.
Yeah, and Larry had a big go then. It'll
take him a couple of corners to get the tyres back down to temperature and get maximum amount of grip out of those. So, you know, he'll just be trying to drive that car as straight as he can for a few laps, hopefully, and get the grip, and of course he's off now.
Okay, Perkins now in front of Seaton. You can see the angles that Larry was getting yesterday in the wet. Well, the car looks a lot more stable. Of course, not as spectacular as yesterday, but he's still picking up wheels. Seaton now right on the back of him. I tell you what, this thing of Gardner's is going well on the weekend. It's losing nothing in a straight line to the rest of them.
His car, you know, he's driving the car very hard. He was a winner here last year, and he's not that far back, Darryl. You know, he's in the first 5.
Coca-Cola should be very pleased with him. Input there. Here's Phil Ward in the Commodore coming up toward the rear of the field, but it's getting bunched at the top now.
Actually, Alan Jones is a little further back than we thought he'd be today. We were expecting a bit of a charge through the field from him.
Car was damaged yesterday, whether that's got anything to do with it. Of course, Thomas Mazzera didn't start today. Jonesy's back in 8th spot. He had a very big coming together yesterday, and half the car disappeared, so he's not starting. Here's Alan Jones now. AJ picking up the rear wheel as he goes through that corner now. He's sitting in behind the Winfield cars of...
Very good question, Darryl. I think it's Jim Richards.
Jim Richards. So steaming through AJ. I don't think he can get back in touch from there. Johnny Bow, he has been the quickest right throughout the week. No doubt about that. Larry Perkins yesterday led him on a merry dance, but I don't know if he can do it this time round.
It's just the class is so close at the moment, Darryl. Look how close all these cars are. There's nothing between them. Straight line speed's very similar. Of course, they've all got the same size brakes, wheels. You know, the only thing is the driver, I guess, and the different tyre compound.
Got to say that when the tours come on, a lot of the mechanics stop work in the Formula 1 garages, go straight to the monitors. They love them. They really do like the sound of the V8s in full cry. Well, Bow's just set a new lap record, 1:38.65, so he really is doing a job on everyone this morning.
Well, he's got them well and truly covered. I mean, he just put that little 2 or 3 second buffer on them, and he's letting the rest of them try and sort their own mess out. As you pointed out yesterday, the yellow Dick Johnson cars, the Shell cars, are so, you know, well presented and have done such a great job since Sandown.
Don't they look great through there? I mean, have a look at them there. Just picking up the wheels and putting them down and then go the other way. They just look great round here. And
you look the way the drivers are sitting in the cars and the amount of movement on the steering wheel, you know, they're not being aggressive with the car. It's a nice, smooth movement, and they have everyone covered.
Yeah, of course, you get the trouble here, you're going to hit something most times. Mark Scaife didn't do that yesterday. He got away with it, one of the lucky ones. So Dick Johnson now just riding shotgun for teammate Johnny Bow. The pack do get a bit closer down here, but they just can't run with the Johnson Fords. Too much power from the Shell cars this weekend. They really have looked terrific.
Glenn Seaton's getting very close to Larry at the moment. I think that, you know, we can look hopefully for him in the next couple laps to make a bit of a move on Larry's car.
Glenn Seaton, of course, car 1, the PJ car right in behind Larry Perkins, car 11 as they come around this part of the circuit now. Dick Johnson just got a little bit of a comfort zone now on these two. There's the placings. It's Bow, Johnson, Perkins, Seaton and Mark Scaife. That's Scaife you're looking at there in behind the blue car. And
Scaife is the mover of the pack so far today. He's passed a couple of cars, and you know, he'll be a bit disappointed with the result yesterday, or very disappointed actually, and looking forward to a top 3 finish today. You can see him sliding the car there. He's really having a go.
Well, he came from 9th spot on the grid, so it's not a bad effort. When you have a look, Jimmy Richards, of course, has dominated the series over here. He's won 5 times, had a 2nd and 3rd. Dick Johnson, Tony Longhurst and Larry Perkins have all had 2 wins here each. So it's been an interesting thing for Jimmy Richards, but he really hasn't been on the money this weekend. And I thought in the rain yesterday he would be the man to chase.
Well, it comes down to tyres, Darryl. Unfortunately, Yokohama's were the tyre not to be on yesterday, and Dunlop's were the tyre to be on. And you just can't, as hard as you drive, you can't do anything about that.
Johnny Bow, Perkins and Seaton, they're still at it now. This is really the race within the race that has the most interest. Seaton picking up wheels, but Larry Perkins just gets a little bit more distance on him. It's a great battle, pretty even. There's the strain, the pain on Dickie Johnson's face. And around here, let me tell you, you really have to concentrate. There's AJ, has a quick look in the mirror. Wouldn't be happy, AJ. He really wanted to do well here, and what an announcement he made from Egypt and Ampol this morning. $5 million going into a new Formula 4 team. They'll run 4 cars. They'll have 2 senior drivers, 2 junior drivers. Big transport of the whole business, works cars up the front now. That's Gardner. He's done the job on Jimmy Richards, so Gardner has really driven very well. But coming back to AJ, this is, I think, the most exciting thing to happen in Australian motor racing in a long, long time. It's going to give some young steerers a chance to go to Europe, link up with successful teams there, and anything could happen. We could have someone in Formula 1 or, for that matter, IndyCar racing soon. Oh, big touch there. Gardner's gone, and Scaife just gave him the tap, and I'll tell you what, Wayne Gardner gave him the thumb up too when he went past. See you in the pits, he said.
Well, poor Wayne, he won't be very happy. He's had a year of that, really, and he'll be very disappointed. That was Jim Richards, and Richo doesn't intentionally hit anyone. He just, I'd say, missed the brake marker a little bit there, gave him the tap up the bum. Gardner goes around and he carries on his merry way.
Well, I mean, he had the name of Captain Chaos the first time, or the first season he drove. I think it's been reversed this time. Well, the field squared up on him right through the season.
It's a little bit hard when you get hit like that. I mean, it's quite clear what happened, and Richard just braked a little bit late, but I'm sure it wasn't intentional.
Bow, Johnson, Perkins, top 3, Seaton and Scaife in behind them. But that, just very quickly on AJ's new team, it sounds fantastic.
Well, it is. You know, to get the opportunity to go to Europe and go racing, I mean, it's what every Formula 4 does, you know, dreams of, Darryl. I remember when I was racing Formula 4, it's a long time ago, that you always, you know, that lure of Europe was always there, but it was an impossible dream, and for him to be able to open a few doors is just great for the young people.
Well, Egypt, of course, well known right around the world. Ampol, congratulations, a $5 million budget, and I tell you, he's been trying to do it since he came back from Europe, Alan Jones, and he's finally pulled it together. Congratulations to AJ and all those concerned. Back here now, it's Perkins. Perkins just throwing the car in nicely, just picks up a wheel. Seaton just can't get to him, can he? I mean, every time he closes up, Larry's got a bit left.
That's right. The gap is seesawing slightly. You know, he closes it up, and then Larry just gets away that little bit. Obviously, Glenn's car must be a bit nicer through the S's, and Larry's just getting away on the faster corners around the back of the circuit.
Well, the Shell cars have done so well. They won the endurance race in Melbourne. They, of course, won Bathurst through Johnny Bow. And here's some of the telemetry coming out of the car.
Well, this is a little bit better than yesterday. It'd be nicer if we could see a little clearer where we're going. But as you see, the speeds are quite high, 209 Ks. We're just come off the pit straight here. I think we're heading up in through the S's here. Very fast part of the circuit. This is Dick Johnson's car. You can just see John Bow slightly ahead of us. Back on the throttle here. This is a very fast part of the circuit. Just a little dab of the brake in here, I think. Oh, he's better than me, Darryl. Look at that. No brakes.
There's nothing. It's all stopped, so Johnson's still going. I think we might give that the flick on with the race. Great idea. All righty now.
Well, there we are. Glenn's closed up a little bit on Larry. Now, the interesting thing is here, what tyres have they chosen? And some of them will have gone for a slightly softer tyre, and some of them will go for a harder tyre, and now the harder tyres will start to come into play. There's about 4 laps left in the race, I believe, and hopefully now we'll see Glenn attack Larry just that little bit more.
Just saying about Johnson's cars this year, they won in Melbourne, they won Bathurst. They really have looked the business at the other end of the season, haven't they?
Well, they have. I remember at Bathurst, you know, chasing one of them around there for a little while. It was certainly a hard car to catch, and they're the ones who are the pace setters at the moment.
And that's Dick Johnson there, second place, and he really does have a nice little comfort zone now on Larry Perkins. Johnson sits in behind his teammate, who is just getting further and further in front in this race. And yesterday's conditions really evened things up. A bit different in the dry today.
I think a lot of it's got to do with doing your homework, Darryl. You look at the Winfield cars at the start of the year, they were the ones chasing, and you know, as time goes on and the testing comes into it, at one stage Glenn's cars were starting to look like they could be dominant, and now of course the Shell cars, the FIA cars, at the right time of the year have become the ones to beat.
Glenn Seaton, he's had a few moments around this track over the seasons gone by, the races gone by. Of course, the 10th one, 10th time we've seen the big V8s around here, and the crowd just line up. They come in early to see them. Johnny Bow, gee, he looks so good. He looks so smooth and balanced.
He is an amazing driver, very aggressive, certainly doesn't give an inch, but in total control here. That was a fantastic display of his yesterday in the wet, the last couple of laps to hold Larry out. And very smooth, very controlled, a real thinker, and a tough bloke to beat.
Seaton again comes on the back of Larry Perkins. Gee, it's been a good battle, that one. It's been intense. Look at Peter Brock, way back he is, and I've never seen Brocky so far back. I know that it's not his favourite track here, but he always likes to do well, and listen to the crowd. Back in 15th spot, Peter Brock. Long time since I've seen him that far back, and of course last year had a fairly big accident here as well.
It hit right in front of where I was standing. Actually hit the wall so hard, so I don't blame him for it not being one of his favourite places, but he's just had a weekend that you know, you wouldn't read about, Daryl. It's one of those horror ones.
Some nice angles from Dick Johnson's car there as you were peering down off the roof area. That's the camera sitting up on the roof there. Nice shot because it gives you a nice look at how they're going through the corners here, just nicely kissing the curbs.
Very fast part of the circuit that we're looking at now. It's a pity the telemetry's not working properly, because you'd be surprised they're going in there, through there, at 200+ Ks, which is, you know, very fast to be going around the corner.
Very tricky part here too. You get all this wrong and you come onto the fast part on the back part of the circuit in the straight. You've really got a lot of work to do to pick up the time you've lost if you muck it up here.
Well, for Dick, this would be a little bit frustrating, because you can see the car, and, you know, teammates are usually the ones you want to beat the most, out in front there, and you just get a glance of him as you come out of each corner, and that's how you judge more than by the pit board, you know, if you're catching him. And you know, the gap has stayed very much the same over the last couple of laps, so he'd be probably getting a little frustrated with this.
Another lose here, nothing, no great damage though, but Craig Smearden. A little bit of a lose. It gets pretty slippery around here. I remember Jimmy Richards was talking to Mark Scaife here on Friday, and he'd been out in the Porsche race, and he said, gee whiz, it's slippery. He said, make sure you just play yourself in. And it's that sort of circuit for the tourists.
It just takes a fair while for the rubber to get put down on the circuit. Because they only race here once a year, you need to wait until, you know, the rubber's down, and every day the track gets a little bit faster.
So Larry Perkins again gets a little bit of breathing space on Glenn Seaton, still chasing Dick Johnson, of course.
Larry's car's starting to get a little bit twitchy here, and of course that's allowed Glenn to close right up, and you can see Larry sliding a little bit coming out of that corner. So we've only got one lap to go, but this could be the dice for third place. Yeah,
I think so. It's been the dice right throughout the race. Larry's driving very hard to get some distance on Glenn, and Glenn closes up certain parts of the circuit. As you said, Larry's car starting to show a bit of attitude. Glenn closes right up there on brakes. Look at that.
Well, you know, Larry's starting, his tyres are starting to get a bit hot and bothered, I'd say, and of course you need them to work their maximum under brakes. Great move by Glenn. We just have to see if Larry can hold him at bay the way John Bowe held him yesterday.
Nice shots down from the chop. You get an idea of how they try and straighten this circuit out.
Very good move by Glenn. He'll probably make up just that little bit more ground here under brakes. There he goes, closes the gap a bit more, and I'd say the end of the back straight is a place where Glenn will have a lunge at him.
Have a look. Brad Jones is there. Of course, Brad, third place along with Craig Lowndes, or second place at Bathurst. This year you've had a third there as well, so you're due for a win.
Well, I hope so. I'm certainly going to go back next year, and that's the plan.
Unbeatable on the big ovals, this fella. Unbelievable in those cars too. So now Dickie Johnson's had the indicator going around all day. That means nothing, of course. And then you've got Larry Perkins sitting in there, and you've got Glenn Seaton trying desperately to get in touch, but I think Larry now is going to hold him out, no doubt about that. Dickie Johnson and John Bowe done a great job. This is Johnny Bowe coming onto the main straight now. Take the flag. 2 wins, one in the wet, one in the dry. He really has led them a merry chase over this Grand Prix weekend, and he'd be pretty chuffed about winning here too. They all want to win in front of the world's best drivers, and Johnny Bowe has done that. Dick Johnson now comes over for second place. Larry Perkins just holding Glenn Seaton out. There's Dickie Johnson taking down that protective meshing. Stop the head coming out of the car if they have a shunt. So recapping results there, Dick Johnson just waving to his fans. He's got myriad of them. And it's Johnny Bowe, Dick Johnson, Larry Perkins, Glenn Seaton and Mark Scaife. They were the top 5 in a race that probably didn't have the excitement. Well, I know it didn't have the excitement of yesterday, but a pretty interesting exercise and complete domination by the Shell cars. Take a break, come back, lots happened right throughout the day.